Okay. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast. I have another fascinating guest with me today. This show's been in the works for some time, and we just got around to finally doing it today. I have with me Eden Koz. It's Eden Koz. She's a psychological empath, an intuitive, a medium, a meditation master, a light worker, a starseed and dimensional energy heal, as well as great awakening pontificator. She is almost finished with her first book, The Wisdom of Just Being: Why and How to Be Calm in These Chaotic Times. She produces, hosts her own podcast since January 2022, the Just Be Spiritual Boom, where she recently became an anchor on the Grassroots Warrior Network channel on Rumble. Using consciousness, mindset, counsel, God, love, language, vibration, work, energy, psychology, meditation, Reiki, and the Akashic Records, mindfulness, as well as other modalities, her methods create unparalleled shifts for her clients via her company, Just Be LLC, where she conducts sessions remotely and face to face. Finally, in 2017, she incurred stage 4 lung cancer diagnosis that brought a near death experience and 2 additional years of major recovery and rejuvenation. You can connect with her at edenjustbe.com or the podcast Just Be Spiritual Boom, and or on Facebook on Eden Koz on Facebook, and then she also has an Instagram, Eden Koz on Instagram. I'll put all the links in the description. I have. But Eden, thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you?
I am great. Okay, let's right off the bat. What episode is this that we're recording right now?
I mean, by the time this comes out, it'll be probably like 1,010.
Okay, I just completed 100, so it is just astounding. I don't know of anybody else who does the number that you do. So and I've listened to a lot of them too because I also research when I'm going to be on someone's show. Really good, Rob. Good for you. Wow.
Oh, thanks. I really take pride in it. I really do. So when I get a compliment like that, it really warms the heart because I like, I have a picture of Art Bell behind me. I was always a big fan of Coast to Coast growing up, and I loved
Mhm.
Art Bell. I loved listening to him late night talk radio, and he was the first one to do paranormal. So I kind of wanted to do what he was doing with paranormal radio with podcasting. But then I
Yeah.
kind of got involved in like the secret space community, and like all those people come on my show, and like my labs and targeted individuals, and I do all that now too. So it's
Yes.
kind of like it's become its own thing. It's I love it. I love it. I wouldn't do it any other way.
Well, and it's so great. You're really good, because I've been doing my show for 2 years, and I wasn't this isn't my jam, I guess, but I love it just like you, and I love to talk to people, and assuming like you, and I'm so grateful to be on your show too, but just to learn so much from other people, it's just and to meet everyone. It's so to me, it's quite thrilling. Would you say so? Look, I'm kind of
Yeah.
interviewing you. Would you say so, Rob?
Yeah, I love it. I love getting to meet all the different people and like all the different like personalities, and like I love hearing people's stories because
Yeah.
I've been told that I've been abducted, and I've been told that I'm in the secret space program, but I don't have any memories of it.
Yeah.
So, I kind of like live vicariously through other people. I want to hear other people's experiences, and
Mhm.
like, I want them to be able to get their story out too, you know what I mean?
Thank you. Well, thank you for that.
So what happened with you? You had a near death experience. Well, you were diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. That had to be really hard.
Yeah, so it was 2017. I was already, and I really enjoyed telling the story because it wasn't, oh, I had this health crisis and I had to change my diet and change my belief system. And, it wasn't that. At that point, I was already very spiritual. I had a studio. So I'm in Ohio right now. I had a studio in Ohio, which I thought was miraculous based on meditation. And I had some people working for me. So I was all ingrained in all of this. And then within a week, I started getting incredibly dizzy. And by the end of the week, I could not function. So at this time, I was married. And if my husband hadn't come up to me and said, hey, we need to get you to the emergency room or whatever, it was one of those things you were feeling so bad that nothing would have gotten me out of the bed. Like I was essentially done for. Like you just feel so bad. You don't want to talk. You don't want to do anything. So anyway, we go to a doc in a box. They give me a migraine tonic, and they're like, if you're not feeling better tomorrow, you need to go to the emergency room. So next day, was not feeling any better. Went to the emergency room beautifully. There was no one there. Went in very quickly and through a CAT scan right off the bat, saw there were 3 lesions on my brain and 1 in my lung just within a week's worth of time. And it was so funny because so much of what I do is about not only the brain, but going beyond the brain. So here I am with these 3 lesions, and it was beautiful because there was a reason why I was feeling the way I was feeling. So, should I just keep on going?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
this is interesting.
Okay. So it was so because I've been doing spiritual work since 2000, so 17 years later, I was un and I unbelievably calm where most people were just like, and I had many people be like, Eden, why are you not upset? I'm like, well, for some reason, this is here for me now, and just to accept it. I'm really good at accepting things. So it was a month and a half in the hospital. Turns out the initial diagnosis was stage 4 lung cancer, which most people after 5 years, only 5% live. So basically saying, high chance you're gonna pass away from this earth. And I'm good with death, all of that stuff too. So we can talk more about that as well. Yet after 2 craniotomies, so brain surgery, so they had to go into my brain, which was fun. Turns out it was an infection called Bacardia Beijingensis, which is really hard to pronounce. And I am probably the only one in the United States where it starts in your lung and cross the blood-brain barrier. So they've written stories about me, and it was 2 years of hardcore getting my vitality back. Like when I got home, not like I couldn't walk for months, like probably 2 or 3 weeks, couldn't walk. Took time to talk again. Like I'd have these physical exercises where basically they'd show me the picture of a cow. What is this, girl? Oh, it's a cow. Okay, we're going to show you a clock, the 12 o'clock hand and the 2 o'clock hand. What time is it? We're going to give you 3 things to repeat. Can you repeat them back to me? So it was a rebuilding of everything.
Did you have a lot of faith in like God in that time? I mean, that
Oh,
sounds like.
yes. So I guess to go back to the near death experience. So I already had a huge belief in God because what I do, you cannot do without God. And my whole background, I grew up in the South, was the only one. My dad was going to be a Catholic priest, decided not to. My mom watched church services on TV. So everybody growing up, God, this, where'd you go to church? Where'd you go? So meditation brought me to that connection. So I was already very strong in my faith. So after I had my first craniotomy, let me go into a little detail about this. So I was in the ICU, and it was the only time I was at the hospital at night after this occurred. Specifically, I always had someone there with me. So I woke up from having the surgery, and it was like 1 o'clock at night, Robert, and my door was open. And I was in the ICU for multiple occasions, yet this was the only time that it was incredibly active. So I just woke up, couldn't talk, couldn't find the buzzer to have anyone come in and help me. And it was like heaven or hell was right in front of my face. So someone came in who just spinal cord injury, couldn't move, crying, throwing up, the nursing staff laughing like it was like me just sitting there watching all of this unfold. I couldn't do anything about it but be present. So at that point, it was like I got a little tap on the shoulder, and it was God. And it wasn't this, oh my gosh, we're going to send you down this beautiful light and all your friends and family are going to be there. It's like, hey, this is what, life is like. And when I went to the surgery, the doctors basically said, we don't know what you're going to be like when if you survive this, or if you come out of it. We don't know if you're going to be able to walk, if you're going to be able to talk. We just don't know. All right, good luck. So God basically said, all right, here's what earth is like. It is full of hardship and evil and pain. And on top of that, beauty and love. And God basically said, hey, you get to choose. You can decide if you want to stay here or not and live out this life, knowing I have no idea what's going to be in front of me. Or you can come, you can cross over. Okay, this is great. This is going to be wonderful. It's awesome. Yet I'm going to tell you without judgment, if you decide to stay, you will learn vastly more than if you decide to come here. Yet, your choice. And it was neat. I didn't have to think very long, yet just decided I'm going to stay. I'm willing to see what this is like, because I know we're just human beings having this experience, that it's really, we see it as this major thing that we're doing, and it really isn't a big deal, but it is a big deal. So at that moment, I decided I'm going to stay. Thank you so much, because essentially I could just have closed my eyes and that would have been done. It would have been so simple, no gasping for air. And I had my girls at that time were 14, 11. I knew that they would be okay. I just knew that everybody in my family would be okay, because I also at that point dealt with spirits, like, I knew I wouldn't be gone, just my physical body wouldn't be there. So anyway, my husband showed up that morning, decided to eat. And that was kind of like eating his life. I'm going to eat. Beyond that, I had another radical life or death surgery. Again, all this time to get better, if you want to call it that. And I look back at that now and wouldn't trade that experience. And especially with where we are now in the human ascension, I had no idea about this as well, what was coming and what I was going to be needed for and what I was going to experience. So it was spectacular. All right, you got any questions for me on that?
Yeah, well, I
Did I
know. I
explain it?
feel like you have a bigger purpose. I mean, with your podcast and like what you're doing with your business, like,
Yes.
you're guiding people through the Great Awakening. Do you kind of feel that way? Do you feel like
Oh,
that's your calling?
yes, definitely. And it's really interesting too. My main calling, and I say this to everybody, regardless if you're a healer or a light worker or what, or your calling is to find joy. That's the biggest thing. So for me, finding joy within this work, I do. And it's not just work for me, it's my life, whether I'm talking to you on a podcast, whether I'm doing my own podcast, whether I'm with clients, it is intrinsically who I am.
That's fascinating.
Thank you.
How did you get into all this? Like, what was usually, or sometimes there's a trigger point for people that like
Yes.
that causes them to get like into, or did you always have psychic abilities, or like what was like your childhood like with all that stuff, and like when did you like kind of like wake up to your abilities and stuff like that?
Yeah. I, in my late 20s, so I'm 55 right now. In my late 20s, before kids, I was in Georgia, worked in advertising, and I just started becoming way too stressed out. Like there wasn't any kind of balance or anything. So, two of my dear friends had told me about this meditation teacher. And I didn't care that she was a meditation teacher, just the way they spoke about her, and they're basically saying she was fabulous. So I was like, okay, let me give that a try. Little did I know, Robert, 6 years into it, that was the point of changing my life. I didn't realize that, I'd kind of given up on God, if you want to put it that way. And I knew I would have to be head over the head. And I was. So not only did I find faith, but I cleared off all the garbage on me. So it really just opened me up. And it turns out I always had gifts, if you want to put it that way. So when I was like 9 years old, I couldn't sleep in my room. I couldn't articulate it, and I couldn't tell my parents what was up. So I asked if I could sleep in their bedroom. They said, no, you're 9 years old, get over it. Yet for 2 years, when it got dark, I would get fear in the pit of my stomach. And there was something in the hallway, I couldn't put my finger on it, that just made me feel uncomfortable. So growing up in the South, we didn't have air conditioning. Everybody else had air conditioning. We didn't. So to close my door would not have been would not have been smart. So I would pull up sheets and I would sweat. Yet when I started doing meditation, I suddenly saw plain as day that there was this guy in my hallway, like a 1940s guy, and he would just stay in the hallway and go up and down. And then he would stand right, he never came into my room, but he would stand in my doorway and just watch. And that's what it was this whole time. And finally, I was like, oh, I see it. Now I understand. So I work with kids too who see things. And because all of this stuff is real, all of it is real.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. So that was the beginning.
I think it's all very real. Like all the
Yes.
paranormal stuff, like
Hmm.
it's just it's weird because it's not anything that we've been ever thought about or were
Right.
taught about.
Or
It's
taught.
kind of like every seeker has to go on their own journey to like find out what's true and like what's I mean, especially for experiencers, like I feel like they have like the toughest part because like there's no guidebook for how to live your life as an experiencer. You know what I mean? Like some people get abducted by aliens and they're
Hmm.
taken all night long. They wake up with their clothes on backwards, or they like wake up like groggy and like like it's hard to live with. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
even like paranormal experiencers, like it's not an easy life to go through. They need people that are like to guide people through this um I mean, because it's not taught about, right? If that makes any sense.
Yes. And the cool thing, let me add on to that, Robert, is as we are ascending into the 5D, I already know some folks through my podcast that are starting new schools and different education where right off the bat, because children are coming to this world much more awakened too. They don't have to go through the processes like a lot of us did. I mean, they're
Yeah.
coming in knowing, and we adults can start to foster that and grow that from the beginning versus, oh, I'm in my late 20s and something happens to me. Or I start noticing these things as a child, and my parents basically say, oh, this is make believe. Don't talk about that. Don't. So we're coming into a world where it is, yes, talk about that, be that, do that, experience that. I want to hear from you. And these kids that are coming out, I'm get really passionate about this too. They know so much and can help guide us and open us up if we allow it.
Well, I don't know what just happened. My phone just started going off for no reason. Like that,
Oh,
it's like so it's like something paranormal attacked my phone.
ooh, ooh,
I feel like that's the targeting sometimes. Like
yes,
I don't know, but I just kind of
yes.
I just laugh about it, you know?
Yeah, I planned based on what we're talking about to use some code words because I know that AI and bots that there's certain words that they hear, they'll shadow ban you, they'll censor you. So I am highly prepared for certain terminology.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a guaranteed fact. Like they shadow ban a lot.
Yes.
They it's like so you there was some. I'm going over what you sent me. You
Yeah.
wanted to talk about you wanted to talk about the Great Awakening, your near death experience, big house cleansing story where you understood evil
Yes.
versus light and dark. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So yeah, let's go into the Great Awakening a bit. And I know you've had guests on your show that talk about it. So I tried to make sure I'm not repeating too much. But again, I couldn't listen to all of your 1,010 episodes. So the Great Awakening is this battle, and this is interesting for me to talk about too, because initially I couldn't quite grasp the battle um, between. Well, I could grasp that there's a turmoil between light and dark, but it is essentially a battle between God and Satan. And I, not that I didn't believe in Satan, but it was more light and dark to me and that sort of thing. So knowing about all this, and there's so many depths to this, and I know a lot of your guests on your show have talked about this. We are talking about a total reconstruction of Earth in terms of our financial systems, education systems, medical systems. I mean, it's just a crumbling and rebuild of all of that, and for us to be like humans that do not live in fear anymore and move from the heart. So knowing about this and having gone down many rabbit holes, and I cleanse houses every once in a while. This it's a rare thing that I do. So I was contacted by someone who's actually just a couple blocks down for me, which is amazing as well. So they had someone clear their house as well. I mean, to the point of not only drawers being opened, but at one point, the mom, so there was a mom, two little girls, and dad. The mom was grasped by her hair and taken down the stairs. I
Oh my
mean,
God.
yeah, this is heavy duty, heavy duty. So I was like, okay, I'm going to come over. Um, there was a portal in her basement. So I basically said, I'm going to come down to your basement, work in that portal, and then we'll have lunch together and, la, la, la. So I, I went to her home, went down to the basement and sat in the corner where I felt everything was coming out. And immediately, Robert, I mean, I've seen a lot of things. This was the most demonic, and ooh, I get chills even thinking about it, even though I'm cool. They were like the mass amounts of demons, and they showed me taking my body, chewing it up, tearing it up. I mean, it was, and they didn't care. I mean, there was no empathy, there was no heart, there was no anything. So beautifully, I called my mentor and she happened to pick up the phone and she said, essentially, Eden, they don't like you being there. What you need, or what I would guide you to do, is to repeat the Lord's Prayer. So I got it on my phone because I was distracted a little bit. Then to imagine you will close the portal door and they will all be in it and close it. And then when you're done, you need to get out of that house. You need to go. And when you get home, if you feel like there's something that's still a brewing, do that again. So
Wow.
it was just, and it was so wonderful for me. So I did it and I went upstairs and I told the mom, I'm like, hey, not to be worried, but I'm not supposed to have lunch with you guys. Everything's going to be okay, but I just need to go home. Yeah, it was really intense and they were all good and nothing's happened since that time. That's been probably a year and a half ago. And when I came home, I had to do a little bit more. Yet the part of it that was so priceless to me was I got to see what we are up against right now and how satanic and how evil and how intense it is. So I was just it was really good. And since then, okay, let me add this little tidbit
I
too.
was gonna
So
say, because I was gonna say, what do
yeah.
you think is going on a higher level, like with spiritual warfare? Do you think it's like legions of demons versus angels or something, or like what do you think going? I mean, and then I was
Yeah.
wondering, do the angels help us too?
Oh yeah. It is. I had someone on my show a while back, and I love this because she really talked about the stereotype of angels. She's like, they are not these cherubs with these, little wings and look like babies. And maybe they do look like babies, yet they are fierce. So, me in this great awakening, being a healer, a light worker, whatever you want to call it, I am determined. I am fierce. Like I've been psychologically attacked. I will not back down. And through all of this, the goal is okay. Okay. Here's another trying to describe this more. So I've seen many parallel lives that I've had, and in so many, I was the darkest of the dark. In one, I was a serial killer and got to see it was women that I killed and what I did. At one point, I was a ruler, not just of a city or a town, but like of a continent. I mean, it was a lot of people. And I killed people. I started wars. I was male. And I would take women and take them from their husbands and have them be concubines. And I saw within this, my legacy affected generations of people in really difficult ways. So when I look at this evil,
You still there?
for it from us.
Uh,
So the best way to battle it, oh, internet connection's unstable. Did we
You
freeze?
froze up. You froze up a second. You're back now, though.
Okay. So the best way to battle it is to, oh my God, that's so evil. I need to put that over there. I need to put crosses. It's actually to embrace it, yet love it, and then come at it with balance, knowing that we are all of that. And that is the way to transcend this, is to not see it as separate from us. And going back to collective consciousness, that we are all one. We are all one, including Satan, including devils, including angels. We are all of it. We are all of it. And that's part of my work, is to help people accept, because there's so much in this world that is unbelievable, and to be able to accept that and not go into fear and to go into love. I mean, that takes a very strong person. Woo! All right, what you think? Ooh, let me shake a little bit. That was a lot. Loved it.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree with everything that you said. It seems like it's so where was I going with that? Let me think about this for a second.
Okay.
Um yeah, well, the spiritual warfare, do you feel like we're like gonna win? Do you feel like, or do you feel
Oh,
like, what do you think's
yes.
going on with that? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say that we've already won. We're just in the process. But again, it's not like winning or losing, even though I call it a battle. If we just talk about it as an ascension, I strongly believe that it is done. And in the next couple years, especially 2024, we're really going to start seeing more of the positive effects. And for me, right now, so I'm working on stuff. So it's, there's still a process going through. Yet in my own life, even though there's all this up and down going on, for me, it's more out here, like within me, really working on calm. What do I want to see? Who do I want to be? That I create this world now. And especially now with the vibrations going up, with solar flares, with the Schumann resonance going haywire. I don't know how familiar you are with that, or your guess.
yeah, they talk about that
It's
a lot.
happening.
Like, do you feel like the solar flares are helping us? Like that they're
Oh,
like
yeah.
sending energy to us?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes. It's so good. And I also want to tell people too, like, now is the time, if you really want to access your spiritual gifts, if you really want to learn more, if you really want to increase your vibration, now is the time, because everything on this earth and spirits and ascended beings and galactical beings, they are all here to support you, to support us. So yeah, do it now. That's part of my thing too, is go. And it, not that it's going to be super great, again, accepting these things, the darkness, and accepting all that, yet you can do it. I've done it. You can do it. I know lots of people that are doing it right now, and it needs to be done. So get off your tuchus and do it.
I agree. I agree. You said you changed a lot of your relationships and marriage through
Oh
the
my
Great
gosh.
Awakening. Like, did you want to talk about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Do you think it
So
was because of like what we're going through, like
yeah.
this like ascension symptoms that like really
Oh,
caused you to like
yeah.
want to make changes in your life?
Yeah.
I mean, because I know, for example, me, like I know, like I've like kind of like don't have some of the same friends because of like
Yes.
what I do now.
Yes.
I had to change a lot of relationships as well. Even I got out of, I was in a long relationship and I got out of it, and I was like, it was traumatic, but I
Yeah.
mean,
I heard you talk about that a little bit.
it was for the better though,
Hmm.
it was like, because now I met someone new, and I'm seeing where that goes. So,
Okay.
and I feel like it's a better thing. So, but I guess going back to the point, it's like it seems like maybe our relationships are changing because of like what we're going through right now with this awakening.
We froze there.
Right? Oh, what happened? I think you froze up again. Let me hit.
We did. You were right at back to the point.
I'll pause it.
Okay.
Oh wait, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
That's all right. Well, that happens.
I can't remember what the last thing I heard you say was. I was asking you, like, do you should we about the like, relationship changes because of
Hmm.
the Great Awakening? Did you feel like
Yes.
that was things you had to do because of like the way you were feeling about like life and the awakening and stuff like that?
Okay, so beautiful question, Robert. Let me get into that. So right when lockdowns started, I had asked my husband for a divorce. So 3 weeks, we were 3 weeks into it. And both of our girls were at home at that point. He would work out of the home, travel, and then all of a sudden, we're all at home. Heavy duty. Okay, I had always been, since 2001 or no, 1999, that was the start of my spiritual expansion. Yet it wasn't until the lockdowns that my mentor basically said that vid is not vid. It's way more than that. So that took me down the rabbit hole of just opening up into so much more in terms of our politicians, in terms of agendas, all these agendas. I know that you've had tons of them on your show. And within that, I suddenly started to say things that were not accepted, that seemed crazy, that seemed so. I was at January 6th as well, which that is not what the media portrays. So my parents saw me as a domestic terrorist. A lot of my clients were suddenly like, oh my gosh, she's gone off the deep end. She's not buying into all of this. And they didn't even say she's not buying into it. She is not, oh, this major thing that's going on right now in the health of our world, and she's not participating in it. And oh my gracious. So relationships were stopped because of that, because people thought I was crazy and off the deep end. And then through stopping my marriage, which turns out that was a very karmic thing that I needed to dissolve all the karma that he and I had been in lives before, that dissolving it this time because karma is coming to an end as well, that was really important. So suddenly his family, I didn't realize how much they were going to separate from myself. So families, and we were married for 25 years and we'd been together almost 30 years. So friendships, families, it was all just woo, everything needed to be changed, because I also couldn't vibrationally hang or be a part of these people anymore. I don't want to say these people, um, because not to say they didn't know what I knew, but our vibrations were completely different. So nothing was harmonious anymore. So I also had to go through this period of being by myself, of experiencing loneliness. I've been on one date since that time. And through that date, realized because this is all narcissism too, really needed to step away and really find that love within myself. And then when I'm good with that, whenever that is organically, a relationship will come to me. Yet I don't really care at this point. No, I don't want to say I don't really care, but I'm not driven for that. I'm good where I am right now.
And that, I think that's
And
all that matters, though. I
yes.
think that you, as long as you're happy and content with your life,
Mm,
like that's what we. I think like one of the things we're supposed to do is find joy in this life. Like
yes.
there's so much hardship and so much chaos. It's like it's hard to find joy or find like solace and like. But maybe that's like the one of the I don't know. I try to figure out what the nature of reality is all the time. Like, are we in like a simulation? And
Right.
is this like is this like is life preordained? Like, is everything like meant to be the happening the way it is, or do we create our reality? Or there's so much that goes into that. Like,
Mhm.
so when I think about like what is my purpose here, it makes me go back to thinking that like maybe we're here to like just find peace and joy. And if we're
To
living
love one
that
another.
way, maybe that's your best way.
Mhm. And I would say it's so complex in terms of the quantum, in terms of dimensions, that everything is going on now, even though, oh, I'm sitting here and I'm eating right now. That what you do here affects all of those dimensions. What you do as a singular being affects everybody else. And I relegate it to like we're in a play, uh, that we come down, or if you are not even come down, that we're here to do this play and we're doing all of these plays just to help us grow. That it's serious, it's not serious. If we can just lighten up, the end goal of it is just to learn to love one another and to love yourself. I mean, that's, if you really want to put it simply, that's what it is. And here on earth, it is dense and it is hard. And it is, I mean, the stories that my clients have gone through, abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, it's just, it's a lot. And being a star seed, I don't know if you've talked, I haven't had a show that I've seen that you've talked about that, but I'm sure you have, that so many people who are here on this earth today, you, it's like a blessing to be here, to go through these trials, to see us emerge from that and to see what we can be. I am so excited by that and feel parts of it already. It's just like, if we can just make it through this, if we can just continue to rise above, if we can just continue, I think I feel like I'm on a soapbox out here. If we can just continue to to go through these things and go through it with laughter, even though parts of it just are hard and it sucks. You can do it. Robert, you're doing it. You're doing these podcasts. You're doing, you are helping people, show them that there's more to this muck,
I
that
agree.
God is here, that source is here, however you want to say it, that whatever you believe in, whatever tickles your heart or makes you lighter. I mean, there, in terms of fairies, in terms of, Sasquatch, in terms of galactical beings, it's all real. It's all real and it's all right there. And at some point soon, everybody's going to see it and be part of it. So exciting, right?
It is. It really is. Is that what it says in your bio that you took a an Akashic Records class and a
Yes.
Galactic class? Like,
Yes.
what made you want to do that? Is that kind of what?
Well, I always knew there was more in terms of extraterrestrials, in terms of galaxies, yet I hadn't really embodied it. And then I found out that I'm a star seed with Palladian connections, since then Arcturian connections, and I think we're all from the stars, and I think there are multiple galaxies that I'm a part of as well. And then I remember when I sensed that, I started crying, because I don't know about you, there's a part of me that's never felt like this was home or that I ever really fit in.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, and then knowing that there was just this peace and this I needed to explore more. So this class, through connections and podcasts, came to my vision, and I'm like, okay, I feel an extreme desire to do that. And I had already been tapping into the Akashic records anyway. This just gave another outlet. But it was a course that studied galactic history, and it was just mind blowing again, because we're never taught any of this. We're never taught it in school. And it was just like, I was taking this history class, and it was unlike any history class I've ever taken before. And everybody in the class was like, oh, yeah, let's do this. It was so great. And that prompted me to start more reading and discovering and just opening my mind even more. It's just been the past 3 years for me, in terms of ascending, in terms of opening up. It's just been fantastic. It's just been fantastic. Every week I'm different. Every week I feel different. Every week I can see different things. Yeah, it's just so nice.
That's cool. So now you're writing a book. Like, are you
Yeah.
almost finished with your book? And what's your book about?
Yeah, yeah. I started it before I knew about the Great Awakening. So it was going to be about my near death experience and the physical experience that I had with, I'll call it the lung cancer, even though it wasn't lung cancer. And then as I was writing it, suddenly I became aware of all this, and my book didn't seem important anymore, because, okay, you had a life or death experience, you had this physical thing, but the world is changing. I mean, look at all this extreme stuff that's going on. So I sat on it for a while. And then I met this lovely gentleman who has passed. His name was Lynn Everhard, who he's an editor. And I told him about my book, and he was like, Eden, you need to get back on it. And now it's taken a twist. This happened to me, and I'm integrating it into the book, but it is talking about the Great Awakening and meditation and how you can allow yourself to see everything that's going on and stay balanced and all of that. So I got back on it. And interestingly enough, Lynn was going to be my editor, and he passed away, which was an extraordinary thing within itself. And I've just found a new person to help me. So I would say I'm 80% done at this point, and just trusting that it's going to come out and I'm going to be done with it, and perfect timing. And it's beautiful for me because it allows me a place to write all of my experiences and allows me to grow within it. I've never written a book. I mean, it's hard. It's a lot. It's again, it's like your baby. And have you written anything
No, no,
substantially before?
no, I mean,
Oh,
I write, I journal a little bit, but I mean,
yeah.
I haven't put it all in together into a book. I mean, somebody gave me an idea. They said that I should
Yeah.
do like, a book based on like the guests I have on my show. You know what I mean? Like, and
Mhm.
write like, different sections on different topics. But, I don't know what the legal issues of that would be. But I mean, like, I don't know. I don't have, I feel like I have writer's block. Like I probably should try to like a little bit harder, like because I'd love to write a book, it would be.
Oh, would you? I think all you have to do is get an okay from your guests that you want to write about and get their permission, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, it is. And I know there are all these bots that can help you. And I'm like, especially right now, anything with AI, I would highly discourage. Like when I got divorced, I have no Alexas in my home. I have EMF things on all of my computers. I do not sleep with my phone in my room, and I have one of my podcast guests. They're also like, dude, these phones. And right now in my life, it's I use it for things, so I'm very very aware of it. Also, that your TV is looking on at you even when it's off. Like I put covers on it. There's so much. Oh my gosh! And what's it called? Your smart meter. Do you know about smart meters?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! So my house is about 100 years old, so I figured I didn't have one, but I do have one. So I called my uh, power company and basically said, hey, I would like to get my power meter removed, because not only does it release a huge amount of toxification, also they can turn it off in a moment's notice. Like you're not paying something, or the powers that be basically say, we're going to control you. So they were willing to take it down, yet because of that they were going to charge me a whole lot of money extra per month. So I'm like, okay, what can I do about this in the interim? So I got a cage to put around my smart meter, and my smart meter is right outside of my bedroom as well. So I paid like $6 or $7. This American company got a smart meter guard, put it on there. Power company also said you can put anything on the meter. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I am. So I could still take another step to get rid of it. I haven't done that yet, but at least I'm doing something. And I got a cage for my Wi-Fi too, to put it in there, and 5G. And oh my God, again, so much,
Yeah, it
so
is a
much.
lot. The EMF can be very. I try to use a Faraday cage for my phone, and I'm really mindful of like all the stuff that's like can be harming us on a daily basis that we don't really think
Yes,
about. It can. I think it can go. Like, it can really mess you up. Like it can cause like,
yes.
they can, because they can send frequencies through your phone, or
Oh gosh, yes.
I have a lot of targeted individuals on my show. V2K is a real thing. They use that on people. It's just like it's crazy once you start to realize like the inner workings of this reality. Like, you would think that like none of this stuff would be possible, but it's all possible and it's all happening. Like, all the paranormal, all the everything, it seems like, it's bizarre.
Yes.
It's a lot to take in.
And to not live in fear because there is so much. Okay, see if I remember this mantra. It is beautiful. All right. To say, I do not consent to any 3D interference in any space-time dimensions for my highest self or for the highest good, and so it is. That statement, a podcast guest gave that to me. I was having all these ascension symptoms as well, like major body aches. I mean, I would get up in the morning and it would just be all over, and it didn't matter, if I did Epsom salt, apple cider vinegar baths. I mean, it was just tremendous. And as soon as she gave me that, and I started saying it on a regular basis, the pain started going away. So part of it is, if you choose to live in a world of fear, if you choose, because it could be so heavy, it will get to you. So to be mindful of it, not to ignore it, but yet to somehow still rise above it and be not only the light, I say divine light too, because darkness can also pollute the light. There's so much control and power that you have as a human being, as a spirit. And part of this war or battle is to disconnect you from that spiritual, powerful, bam, boom part of you. And on some level, with a lot of people, it's working right now.
I agree. I agree. I don't have any other questions for you. I wanted to ask you this. You said you're doing a class January
Oh,
27th.
yes, thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. Okay, so I have my notes here so I don't forget. So, yes, on Saturday, January 27th from 1 to 2:30 Eastern Time. So, many people around the world can do this. It's the first time I'm doing something like this. I'm calling it a galactic human ascension group meditation. So, I know that higher beings are going to be there, ascended masters, galactical beings, and we're probably going to do 2 or 3 meditations within this time, knowing that everybody within this is going to be worked on, healed. I'm probably going to go to individuals as well. There will be light language toning. It's very, for me, it's very exciting because I feel like I can do this now. So if anyone has interest, just email me at Eden, Eden, like the garden, at edenjustbe.com to sign up. And it's only $45. But yeah, I feel it's going to be, I feel it's going to be tremendous for me. So I know it will be for everybody else too. So yeah, if that feels in alignment with you, let me know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
I love your painting behind you. I just noticed that now.
The little sunflower.
Yeah, is that a sunflower? It's like it's on your mirror, on your window.
Yeah. I have a special needs daughter, but she's not really special needs. She's all light. She did that. So it's so neat that you brought that up.
Wow,
She
that's
is
really
light.
nice. That's really
Thank
done
you.
well.
Thank you. I'll have to
Yeah,
let her know.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, did you want to tell everybody where they can find? Did you tell people where they can find you? And thank you so much. I'll probably put this out in the next couple of days, if not
Okay.
tomorrow, the next day.
Thank you, Robert. All right. So my website is edenjustbe.com. And Robert said he's gonna put all the links, because my podcast, same as yours, ScrewTube. So yeah, very, very little action going on YouTube. Rumble, BitChute, Grassroots Warrior Network. I'm a part of them now. So they're on Rumble as
What's
well. So
that? What's that?
it is so neat. So Kevin Hoyt started it. He's a major truther, yet he's also started to come into all his spiritual gifts. So that channel on Rumble is about exposing the truth from politics. It's really into the human aspect. So part of my job is to come in and really bring the spiritual component to it as well. So yeah, like the Grassroots Warrior Network, they are awesome. And, a lot of people there too, just like some of your guests, really putting themselves on the line. Kevin's breaks were cut at one point,
Oh
really
my God.
exposing pedophilia on so many different
Oh my
levels.
God. I just watched Sound of Freedom last night.
Oh, did you?
You know what? Like
That's
something's got to be
interesting.
done. Like I don't know what we can do, but like the fact that there's these people out there and
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
kidnapping children.
it's
I
extreme.
mean, when I first heard about the movie, I thought that it was like young women being taken
Mhm.
and young women and men, but like it's worse than that. It's like
Oh,
they're taking like the children, like
yes.
children. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like and I knew this. Like I'm not blind to it, but I guess like
Right.
it's like if you don't see something, then you don't notice it, is kind of thing. So
Yeah.
like now that my eyes are more open to it, but I shouldn't say that because I knew it was going on. It's just that I wasn't like fully, do you
I
know what
hear
I
you.
mean? Like,
Yes.
and that movie was like such an eye opener. I was like, I feel like everybody needs to see that movie because
Yes.
what's going on is like it's tragic, you know?
Well, and that still is very light on the surface in terms of Epstein and adrenochrome and so many, if you really movies like a lot of the Zoolander movies, so much of that is true. Like I think the last one where he was in the fashion industry and all the fashion leaders were like in this cult and they were gonna take the blood from his child. I mean, so much of this stuff. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it is real. It is real, and yeah, just to have the strength to look at it on any level, it's hard because it's unbelievable, but yet it's true. That's
Did
where
you
we are
see
right
Sound of
now.
Freedom yet?
Oh yeah, I saw it right when it came out, and
So
there's a
I thought that it was good
yeah,
that it had a good ending, like where he saves all
yes,
those kids, you know,
yes.
but like, and I guess that happened in real life, you know, that was like a,
Well, and it's interesting too. Tim Ballard, who the show is about, apparently the director is not so great. You know, you hear both sides of, and it's hard to know who to trust anymore. Yet I'm with you. Like I look at that movie and go, did it possibly open people's eyes? Is that enough? Yes. Is that good? Yes. And same
so
with
you're
you. It
saying
just makes it
there's an
more
even
real.
more conspiratorial edge
Oh
to what
yeah.
you're saying.
Oh yeah.
Like
But
people are,
isn't there to everything these days?
yeah, there is. There is. I know it
Stuff.
is. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I even heard I heard people say that like it was like a psyop. Some people said it was like a psyop. Like when it
Yes.
first came out, I heard people saying that. But you know what? I think
Yeah.
like the people whoever made that, I mean, I know it's Hollywood, but I think whoever made that, they had the intention of like trying to help people. I really want to believe that. You
Yeah,
know what
me
I
too.
mean? Like I because like, you know, when it's dealing with kids, man, you know, that's a whole different I don't have kids
Yes.
either. You know what I mean? So I don't, you know, like, but I, you know, like the girl I'm seeing has kids. I mean, it's a long distance thing, but I mean, like, you know,
Mhm.
so I feel for people that have kids because I would watch my kids like a hawk. You know what I mean? Like, I really would. I would do everything in my power to make sure my kids were safe. You know,
Well,
especially with what's going on today. It's a scary
yeah.
world.
Well, and to add to that, one of the reasons that babies and children are solicited is because they come into this world, especially now with so much light. So to somehow garner that light, to take that light, that's why the dark wants to do that. And that's why they are just, again, just these, babies, beautiful little innocent creatures.
And
That's
like
why
you said, a lot of
they
them
are
are star
targeted.
seeds.
Yes. And I the
Are
tide,
gifted psychically. You know,
oh yeah,
that's like what we didn't even get into this. Like a lot of people are being used in like these programs, like
yeah,
there's my lab abductions, like military abductions. There's, I mean, and one thing about that is real quick. I'll just tell you, like,
yeah.
I thought that the my labs were just like the government wanting to check in on alien abductees, but it's more than that. It's like, you know, the my labs are dealing with like people who are like psychically gifted and then they take them because they want to um they kind of expose their get or not expose their gifts but like use their gifts and stuff like that, like all that like mind control, like MK Ultra stuff that
Mhm.
happened, like is kind of like that, you know. It's insane when you start to think about it, you know, all this stuff that's going on.
Yes. So again, to move yourself into love, into heart. And I had this one guest, I love her. She has a song where she thanks Bill Gates and Fauci and sends love to them
Oh my god, I
and
couldn't do
George
that. I don't think I
Soros.
could do that.
So that's really what this is to somehow have gratitude for all of that stuff. And again, not to be separate from it and to trust that we are now seeing it, that we have to see it to be able to move away from it. It is the hardest thing and the easiest thing to do. And if you can do it, I'm talking to everybody. If you can do that, you are helping with the ascension so much.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, this has been amazing. Do you want
Oh,
me? I'll
good.
send you a link when I post it. And
Yes,
thank,
please.
thank you so much. And yeah, this was fun.
It was fun. And thank you. I love being on shows where you can just go and talk about it all.
Yeah,
Yay. Thank you for that too. And again, I have so much gratitude being on your show. Keep up the good work. Again, you are bringing light to the world, clarity, education. You go, Rob. You go.
thanks.
You have
That,
my
that
support.
that means a lot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, have a good night.
All right, you too.
Take
See
care.
you, everybody.
Bye.